So when I was putting together the panels for this conference, one of the thoughts that I had was that both of you seem to um, talk a lot about Alzheimer's and cognitive issues. And I guess I'm 61, turning 62, and I never thought much about any of this stuff when I was younger. But all of a sudden, as I'm getting older, this seems to be a world where I'm hearing about people having cognitive issues. And it's gone from something that I didn't really ever think about to something that seems like a very, very serious concern. Um, and I'm really, really interested to know what the data shows. Both of you, I feel, are very unbiased and scientific. Neither of you are selling anything to us. So I feel that you are both ideal candidates to help us to understand where we stand with this subject. So maybe could you each give an opening 1 minute thought on what your involvement is with Alzheimer's, dementia prevention, and why you're interested in it and how progress is coming along. So maybe Dr. Helman and then Dr. Blake, and then I'll start my questions.
Thank you.
Sure. So, again, Steve, happy to be here in such a great forum. My own background as a teenager, I saw my grandmother Eileen got Alzheimer's, and I saw how it affected not just her, but my parents' generation, where they're like, hey, this is happening to Grandma Eileen now. What about us in 20 or 30 years? So I grew up, I studied biochemistry as a teenager. So I've been focused on this scourge for a very long time. And when I went to Harvard Medical School, the training was, we actually can't even diagnose Alzheimer's until someone has died, and then you do an autopsy, and there's really not a lot we can do. So that was 35 years ago. Now there is hope. That's the bottom line. The message, there is help. Despite the fact that most primary care doctors and neurologists, many of them will tell patients with newly diagnosed Alzheimer's that, yeah, we'll try these medications, but there's really nothing that can help. It doesn't matter what diet you eat, etc. And I'm here to tell you that I've been in this field for 6 years. I say reversing Alzheimer's. I know it's controversial, but I have dozens of patients who I've brought back. I brought their brains back to life, and it's very inspiring. And yeah, but Alzheimer's is a complicated disease. There are anywhere between 30 and 200 root causes. Things, and we can get into those.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I've worked with many people with Alzheimer's disease and with mild cognitive impairment, which is sort of like the precursor to Alzheimer's disease. People in that category generally will, about 15% will graduate to Alzheimer's disease every year. So that's a good point to work with people. And in our clinical trial that I designed and ran, that's what we tried to do, was hit people before they were in advanced Alzheimer's. I have really great sympathy and respect for those caretakers who put up with the people with Alzheimer's disease who, sometimes the people can't remember anything or happy, and the caretakers are miserable. So we need to support them. And while it's virtually impossible to reverse advanced stage Alzheimer's disease, along the way, we can do a lot. And neurodegeneration is one of the keys. Neuroinflammation is one of the keys. We can do a lot about that. And a change of diet, contrary to what you may have learned and now know better, is really a huge thing. Of course, changing diet is tough, and it takes someone willing. And the people we've worked with who have been most successful in getting their brains sharper and brighter have had family members who are willing to change their diet and go along with that and get them healthier. So I wrote a book, Nutrients from Memory, that basically outlines the Hawaii dementia prevention trial that I wrote and ran. And there's also a paper on it. They're both on my website, drsteveblake.com. The paper's free under recent papers, and the book is under $10, so not a problem for an ebook. I'm looking forward to your questions, Stephen.
Okay, so why don't we start right from the beginning? If someone says, I'll do anything to prevent dementia and Alzheimer's, I'll do anything. What exactly do you want them to eat? Assume they're saying they will do what you say. Their goal is to prevent dementia and Alzheimer's. What is the diet that the science shows has the most protective benefit and possibly the ability to reverse early stage?
First of all, what a hypothetical. I don't know if I've ever talked to someone who said, I'll eat everything you tell me to eat and nothing else. A few people have said it, but they didn't really mean it.
Right.
But yeah, okay, if they could. I think we'd be looking at a whole plant food diet. And this would include the various nutrients that are needed, all of them together. Fruits, especially berries and nuts and seeds. We're going to need vegetables. They're so wonderfully nutrient dense and anti-inflammatory, most of them. And beans are also anti-inflammatory and really helpful. And between all of those, we can get most of the nutrients we need. Now, on a whole plant diet, we're going to need to fill in a few of those nutrients, and I'll be talking about that as we go along. But that would be a start. If they would just eat whole plants, that would be perfect.
And I would agree with Dr. Steve. Whole plants, I would add, don't add salt, oil, and sugar to it. But in general, whole plants, it is.
Well, I might modify this salt because I live in the tropics, so do you, Dr. Josh. And
Yep.
when I'm out working in the sun and rivers of water are coming off of me and electrolytes too, a certain amount of salt is required by the human body. And there is a limit to how much salt we should take. 2,000, 3,000 milligrams of sodium per day are the typical limits for healthy people. And I think not exceeding our limits for sodium intake is excellent, but totally excluding salt could leave you a little lean in sodium. As I analyze diets, and when I do that, I see that some people on strictly plant-based diets, and especially without the processed foods, that's where the real dense sodium is, that they're actually a little light in that. And we have 3 electrolytes that we need. And so we need to get those 3 electrolytes.
Yeah, but I would say you're exactly right, Dr. Steve. It depends on the person. And, there are some people who are out there sweating, and we should be outside and sweating. But there are unfortunately people who are sedentary and don't need lots of extra sodium in their diet. And with the average American eating highly processed food with way too much sodium in it, that's the point I was trying to highlight.
Yeah, the excess of sodium in soups, for example, or bacon, or so many foods, they just throw in salt, sugar, and oil to make it desirable and palatable and make people want to buy it and eat it. And yet, too much of those things are really a bad idea. And I agree with you, Dr. Josh, on the extracted oils. I think we definitely need to be careful with any extracted oils. I basically eat none. And sometimes people want to cook with some, and I try and keep it down to just a teaspoon of sesame oil and don't heat it up too much if they have to do that. Otherwise, none would even be better. But we do need some essential fatty acids. So, and some of the foods like avocados also have vitamin E and vitamin C that are really good to have.
Dr. Helman, the other day when you spoke, you used a term, I think you used the word sludge blood.
I did, yes.
Okay. And you were referring to that like oil and maybe fats had an impact on this.
True.
There are other speakers like Dr. Dale Bredesen, who speaks about memory and dementia, who seems to say that let me think what he says. I think what he's saying is that we want to have fats. We want to have avocados and nuts and seeds and olives, and less sugar and more fat. And Gabriel Cousins seems to be in the same camp where they're saying so there's the keto diet that like Dale Bredesen's talking about, or he's saying mostly vegan but a little keto. But even the vegan keto people, they're saying lower the fruit, lower the sugar, but go plentiful on the nuts and seeds. And Joel Furman said the studies on longevity showed that people who were having nuts and seeds were doing better. So just to clarify, in the context of dementia and Alzheimer's, do we want nuts and seeds? Do we want olives? Do we want avocados? Let's for a second assume we don't want oil, but are we trying to add or not add avocados, olives, and nuts and seeds?
It's a
Yeah,
matter
so
of quantity.
definitely. And so, yeah, I'm all for an ounce of nuts and seeds, you know, what you can hold in your hand, but I'm not for 12 ounces or 24 ounces eating like a whole bag of nuts or seeds. And same thing with an avocado. Sure, take an eighth of an avocado or a quarter, not don't make three avocados a meal for most people. Now, there are some of my patients who are very skinny and they need to put on weight. I could see using a calorie dense food, whether like avocados, to help with that. But for most people, limiting the amount of fats. And, you know, to your point initially, I love what Dr. Dale Bredesen has done in terms of popularizing the fact that Alzheimer's is treatable and reversible and preventable. But the flip side is, and he's definitely pushing a ketogenic diet. I just think in general,